Okay, so can you introduce yourself to get us started, please?
I'm Peter Singleton, and I work for the Scottish Environment Protection Agency, and I am SEPA's Head of Research, Innovation and Evidence, and I've worked in environmental regulation, since 1986.
In your experience, what are the key elements for successful collaboration between the academic community and government agencies in environmental research and policy making?
So it's all about the relationship between the people doing the work. So it often works much better when there's been previous partnerships between the two groups, just because people sort of understand where each other are coming from. But from a policymaker, end user perspective, I think one of the really important things is that it's core to our business. It's very easy to get sucked into exciting science, but actually it's not yet core to your business. And then it always becomes difficult to justify the time and put in the effort. So I think it's really important that it's core to our business. And I suppose I've never seen it from the research viewpoint, but I think, again, for them, it's one about having something that's mature enough and ready to transition into an operational environment. Because I think sometimes people are surprised how different it is to, for instance, run a process in a research lab to suddenly being able to run a process in an operational lab. And from our point of view, it's not just we need a real repeatability, we can do this thing every day. It's also that actually it will stand up in court at the end of the day. So if a methodology doesn't have that rigor, then it's a challenge for us.
Can you elaborate on the challenges that you've encountered specifically in fostering engagement between the academic community and government partners?
So I think from our point of view, it's always time. So from the end user perspective, it's about being able to carve out enough time of whatever you're doing to be able to engage enough to make it worthwhile for both parties. And that's why I say it's got to be core to what you're trying to achieve. Because if it is core to what you're trying to achieve, then it's not difficult to justify and extract the time from you. And I think for the research community, it's about being able to see that connection between what they're doing and how we want to use it. And I think quite a lot of it is about the fit. So how close is the fit between where a research group is and where an agency or a policymaker needs? Sometimes it's really simple. It's literally the research community knows the answer. And actually it's a piece of advice we're seeking, saying, we want to do this. What's the best way of doing this? And then it's more about finding someone who can explain it to you in a language you can understand. Sometimes it's more nuanced than that actually there is some genuine research still to be done before you can implement it in an operational environment. And then it's about getting that relationship right.
Are there some emerging trends or areas of research that you think are going to be crucial for future policy engagement in the environmental protection arena?
There are various areas with an environmental understanding, stroke monitoring perspective that are coming of age. Remote sensing has been around, I suppose, since we first put a plane in the air. But now the resolution and the power of that technology is getting to a point where people are using it more and more as their first point of information. And similarly, I think using genetic techniques to understand the health of the environment is just coming of age. We're just beginning to use it, for instance, in a regulatory capacity. So I think those two are enormously powerful tools that will change the way we think and understand the environment. However, the big challenge, I think, is maintaining the understanding that without a healthy environment, we don't have a society. So actually, I think arguably the biggest challenge for the academic community is to win is the wrong phrase, is to keep that description open so that it is clear that there isn't an either or with the environment. If you don't have an environment, then we cease to exist. And therefore, actually protecting our environment is an insurance policy for our own existence.